Is this the final correction? Will we bounce from here? And will this bloodbath that we are experiencing right now end today? That is something that we need to talk about today. If you think that's interesting, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, like this video, and also activate the bell so that you will never miss out on these really, really important updates, especially in situations like that. And now let's get directly into it here. When we're looking today, I don't even want to look at the ETF inflows, because they are highly negative. Yesterday, I expect something similar potentially today, but over the next coming days, I think that they will actually start being green again. And I'm gonna explain you why I believe that when we're going here to the Bitcoin chart. Remember when I told you the other day here on the 4-hourly chart that if we break the current support, that the next major support is all the way down at around $53,000 to $51,000, all the way down here. Right now, Bitcoin kind of put in a pit stop in the last area that's separating from us from dropping all the way to 52. And if we would lose 52, we would actually go to 57. And that will then completely change the uptrend structure on the macro time frame that we had. And we would technically go back into, kind of like a bear market, so if we would drop that low. Right now, it does not look like that this is actually happening. The area that's holding us afloat right now is between $56,100 and $57,500-ish. And we are putting in here a pinball candle right now. This could be the first early sign of a potential bottom. I was waiting on the sidelines since around $60,800 approximately the last 2 days to see if we get this capitulation move to the downside that we now finally got and put in a pinball candle. And from there, we have 47 minutes. Most likely when this video is coming out, a new 4-hourly candle has already opened. Here, I am telling you guys, if you're not an experienced trader, you should potentially stay away from trading right now. Let me explain you why. There is a scenario that we are not done with this correction just yet. And the only thing that we're going to see is we're coming back to the former support and then actually go lower. And that is something that we don't want. If you want to be really, really sure and want one of the best areas to buy, you wait that we are going to here this area where you can massively scale into Bitcoin, or you wait that we actually start trading above the former current support, which should technically act now as resistance, but it was not retested yet. So we have to wait at the retest to see if this is now resistance or actually not. The next best area is when we are coming here above $63,000, above the downward sloping trend line. That is the next best area when we break this downwards trend, where you can kind of safely enter Bitcoin again, but you will miss out on all the entries that you could potentially get here in between. But this is also super, super risky, guys, so that's why I'm telling you, you want to wait for some confirmations. You want to see here a bottoming candlestick formation, and formation that we are looking for is an evening star pattern where you have here this long red candle coming down, pinball candle, and then here a green candle to the upside. And this green candle needs at least reach $59,200 in my opinion. If we're not doing that, I would stay away, so don't try to knife catch here. So I'm telling you what you should do, so I'm telling you now what I actually did. So because I nibbled a little bit, remember I told you guys that when we break down here, that I will start nibbling into trades and will also start buying a little bit more heavily. But yesterday and the day before that, when I saw Bitcoin reacting like this, I decided that I want to wait now for confirmation before I'm heavily deploying capital. So I only started opening a small trade here around the price levels where we are at right now, more or less. So I'm break even on my trade and wait that we go higher and then add more to this trade position. So I'm going to show it to you in a moment. On this 4-hourly chart, you see that we also have lost the symmetrical triangle that we were trading in. But if you're here for a while already, you know that this is not unusual that we see something like this. We have seen something similar in many, many bull markets where we have a structure like this, deviate out of it to stop hunt and liquidate everybody that thought that this is breaking out to the upside, and then actually come back in a V-shaped recovery and then finally do what we're supposed to do and go to the upside. So that's why I'm not removing this pattern just yet, because there is a possibility that over the next 12 hours, we could come back into it and then actually get the breakout to the upside. If you see something like this playing out, also here, when we're coming back into this red zone and above this upward sloping former support line, that could be a good entry for a trade for you if you want to play it safe, you know. So if you want to be really, really risk adverse, again, a potential entry here around $58,000, $59,000 could be a generational entry level right now, you know. So especially if we're holding the $57,000 level, I don't believe that. Let me put it this way: as long as we are holding here this area that I had marked out, this area, this is what I'm talking about. As long as we are holding here this support area, I don't believe that we are going to see the lower $50,000 levels. But again, this will take a couple of days to get a proper confirmation here. When we're looking on the 1-hourly chart, here is something imminent, and that is the closing of this potential CME gap, imbalance. That's what I want to say. So here, this whole impulse move left an imbalance in the chart and goes up all the way to $59,500. So if you want to trade this imbalance, that is your moment, you know, to scalp trade this to the upside. But I'm not interested in just scalp trading this, you know. So I will actually, like I said, add more to my positions the higher the price actually goes back up and reclaims certain levels here. When we're looking at the 1-hourly chart, you see the imbalance levels are still all here. And that means at some point we are going back up to fill them. So, and it could be that this could be the first one to start with. Do something like this, go up here, most likely some sideways move, and then something like this back to the upside, because the indicators across all time frames have completely reset. You know, even if I go to the 4-hourly here, technically on the stochastic, there is a little bit more downwards movement still in there, but the RSI is heavily oversold right now. So that's why we are putting this pinball in right now. And I believe that here, at least a short-term bounce is in the making right now. The other thing is, I would not really to 100% trust in this bounce just yet for multiple reasons. One reason is we have later an FOMC meeting that can still lead to further continuation to the downside, depending on what Jerome Powell will say. And the other thing is, what was so there was something else happening today. Yeah, the ETF inflows can have an impact on top of that. So there's a lot of factors, you know, so that could actually lead to that we see continuation here to the downside, not only from a technical perspective, but also from an economical perspective in the US. And also the stock market is also heavily tanking today. Now, when we're going here to the weekly chart, I told you guys we are potentially close to a reversal, but we have 4 days left, you know. So, and that we are breaking here key support and have only this support below us is not making things really better, you know. So remember, I told you if we break here this zone, we're gonna see an acceleration in long liquidations to the downside, and price will also accelerate to the downside. And this is exactly what we are seeing right now. Only thing that would make me really, really bullish here on this chart is if we come back before the weekly close to like $61,200. If we come back to this level, have a massive wick here to the downside, you know. So, and then next week we pump back to the upside, we are golden, you know. So, but we need to wait for this confirmation, guys. So the best thing that you can do right now, like I said, if this is like your first bull market or something, do nothing. If you have coins and you have not sold them, don't sell them, keep them. It's too late to sell, you know. So what you want to sell for another 10% drop to the downside when you're already 50% in the minus right now, that doesn't make sense, you know. So then rather just sit it out, you know. So everybody of us was in a situation like that before. Sit it out. I know it's painful, and wait for the market to recover. You know, so this will take a couple of weeks, but we are still in a bull market, guys. Don't forget this. And corrections like that are absolutely normal, you know, so in a bull market. So look now from the top to where we are at right now, we got more or less a 22% correction. And now look here in the last bull market, let's say from here, because it was also a top, we got a 30% correction. So this is absolutely normal to see something like this happening in a bull market. Also here, you know, so when we had here, this was also all-time high before we created in 21 the other all-time high. And also here we got a 26% correction. So these 30% corrections are absolutely normal in a bull market, and they are designed to scare you out of the market so that stronger hands can buy from weaker hands. Now you have to ask yourself, are you a strong hand or are you a weak hand and you want to sell to the stronger hands? I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm not selling to stronger hands. Everything in my long-term portfolio stays in my long-term portfolio. I'm not touching it for at least until next year summer, around something like this. Not interested, you know. On my shorter-term positions, I told you guys, when we break under around $60,000, I'm selling my positions on leverage that I had. That's what I did. So I took a hit there. But I'm also now slowly scaling back into positions. And guys, don't forget, if you want to trade anywhere, trade on BYBIT. You still get $30,000 there, or trade with me on Phemex. On Phemex, I open a small position. See here, here's my entry, $58,200. So I'm like $700 here, $600 underwater. So it's like 1%, you know, so I'm trading with 15x leverage. So I'm 15% underwater. My liquidation price is at $52,000. No, sorry, $55,000. But I will keep adding to this until $51,000. You know, if we lose 51, I'm again taking the loss and getting out. But until then, I'm holding on to this. And also a link to Phemex is in the description and in the pinned comment below, guys. Here on the daily, what we need to wait for is that either tomorrow's candle is coming back up here into the bull flag, or that this daily candle that we have right now is at least going back to like $59,000 and creates also a wick. And tomorrow we're gonna see here move back to the upside. So that is also something that I'm looking out for. Here, that support level on the daily, I still leave it here because again, there is a potential chance with the FOMC meeting being not as hawkish as everybody is expecting, that we're going to get a proper bounce back into the support area here. And this whole move today will be recovered. And tomorrow we get a continuation move. Remember when I told you guys, when we are getting into this major resistance level here on the USDT dominance, it's heavily risk off on all our positions, you know. So I told you, if we break here this yellow line, that's the moment when I will get out, you know. So that's exactly what I did. I got out. And if we break through this resistance line, we go to $52,000. Now we have not broken through it on the daily chart. Heavily hope for us that we're not doing that, you know. So, but a lot is depending on the FOMC meeting later. And if we break through this again, we will go to $52,000. If we get rejected here today and tomorrow and break under the 5% level again, then I believe that we are out of the worst already, you know, so it will not get any worse than that, and that the local bottom is in for Bitcoin, and that we will either start going sideways for a while, or that Bitcoin will slowly start recovering and going back to the upside. So these are the two scenarios, also here based on the USDT dominance, that I see here playing out for us. Now on the Bitcoin dominance, here's something really interesting. While Bitcoin was going down, altcoins were holding up quite well. And we also see this here in the Bitcoin dominance. So here is a morning star pattern, basically the inverse of the evening star pattern, where we see that we had yesterday, 2 days ago, a move to the upside, then here a doji candle, and then a red candle to the downside. And now on the Bitcoin chart, we're waiting for the inverse thing, for the green candle to the upside. So this is a reversal pattern and a topping pattern. And when we get this reversal pattern, it signals continuation to the downside in that case, Now on the Bitcoin chart, because this is inverse, if we get now in 4 hours, over the next 4 hours, then this is also continuation to the upside, and that's what we're looking out for. So like I said, altcoins did not take as big as a hit as Bitcoin did, because at the same time while Bitcoin was going down, the dominance went down, and that's why altcoins holding on quite well right now. So that doesn't mean that you have now life-changing entries on altcoins. On some, definitely you have, but not everywhere. And you should still be careful here with buying altcoins. Again, at levels like this, I would not allocate more than 5 to 10% to start slowly buying anything. I just wouldn't. The reason for that is that even though altcoins were holding on quite well, the total market cap, including Bitcoin, lost here some significant levels. And one of them was the $2.3 trillion level. Should now also be acting as resistance on the way back up. And also here the 2.21 level was also lost. That should also act now as resistance, unless also here, same like with Bitcoin, if we are managing before the weekly close to come above that level, then also here we should see a relief move in direction of $2.5 trillion here over the next coming weeks. When we're getting then into Ethereum, and that will be the only coin besides Bitcoin that I'm going to talk about it today. Also here, pinball candle. Also here on the 4-hourly chart, expecting the next candle go to the upside, at least back to the daily open to $3,000. If we get that, then also here, I believe the worst is over and we're going to see continuation back to the upside and potentially V-shaped recovery. So if we get a V-shaped recovery here on the 4-hourly chart, that will show that the bulls are stepping in and we are getting strength here for a recovery, and that we will resume this bull market that we are in. Levels that you should be looking out for if you want to buy. One of them would be a reclaim of 2,000. That'd be a little bit lower. Actually, if you want to start nibbling 5 to 10% of your portfolio that you want to allocate for Ethereum, then between basically the zone where we are in right now, up to $2,915 is a zone where you can buy, because here I see a small bullish divergence already forming, because we have upward sloping RSI, downward sloping price action. There's your divergence. The next 4-hourly candle will tell us if this divergence is playing out potentially. On the daily chart, I have adjusted this falling wedge a little bit because of the touch points that we are getting here right now to the upper side. So we are technically still in this falling wedge, and we are just touching the bottom of it now. As long as we are staying within that, I still expect an explosive move here for Ethereum over the next potentially 48 to 72 hours, as long as Bitcoin, of course, is playing along. But don't be mistaken. I know it feels disgusting, if you completely invested, partially invested in the market right now, and you see your portfolio being crushed like this. It's a bloodbath out there, but it also gives you life-changing opportunities. Guys, that's it already for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you then again tomorrow.